Barrio Logan and Logan Heights are two halves of a neighborhood that has been divided by a highway in the 1950s or 60s. Hundreds, if not thousands of families got displaced. And just so you understand, when the government decides to build a bridge through some of the houses, through a neighborhood, you are not given a choice. You are told, hey, by the way, your house is going to be demolished, so you're not really going to be able to sell it, but if you want to stay alive, you should probably move. Just a heads up. And that happened to hundreds if not thousands of families who got little to no compensation. And despite this horrendous pattern that the US government continued, of course also thanks to Robert Moses, despite that, the community came together and got the rights to their land back. The US government promised that they would build a park under the highway and never followed up on these promises, and in fact was about to plan putting highway patrol barracks under the bridge instead of the promised amenity that would have been at least some kind of consolation to people. And so the community banded together, and as the bulldozers were about to start demolishing whatever was left of the space under the bridge, people held hands together, surrounded the bulldozers, and did not let them pass, and continued protesting and advocating for themselves to get their rights back to their own land. And they decided, the government kept telling us they're gonna build a park, and clearly that was a lie, so you know what, we're gonna do it ourselves. And that is how the initially drab construction site under the bridge started to get transformed art piece by art piece into Chicano Park that is today. In one way, I wish that the community never had to deal with this kind of use of power that the government imposed on them, stomped on them. I wish the community did not have to ask, why us? I wish the community did not have to go through so many other tragedies. That's not something I would wish on anyone, and that's not something that the community would wish on anyone back. And in another way, I feel so privileged to see that they still got through it. I have such enormous respect for commitment to helping one another. I feel incredibly privileged to be able to witness that. Chicano Park and Barrio Logan and Logan Heights in general now host the largest Chicano art collection in the world. On the entire planet. Isn't that cool? Like, in no other place does this amount of Chicano art exist in one place. It's amazing. And so I have wanted to go there for a while because I am starting to learn about urban planning, parks and recreation, people like Robert Moses, and every little schmuck that allowed communities to be stomped upon and destroyed for someone's grand plans or whatever. And Chicano Park is an amazing example of one of those places that survived. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to go there. And another reason is because I feel like I have always gravitated towards people and communities in the US who don't necessarily have the easiest life, because I feel like those communities have a very, very good idea of what the immigration system does to people, of what being seen as other does to you psychologically. So today was a really good opportunity to take an hour-long trolley to Barrio Logan to learn as much as I can in that hour, to read up, to watch as many documentary style things about it as I can, and to go. But even beyond what the art and history, beyond the intellectual stimulation that provided for me, and just sheer awe and love for life that I am able to experience something like that. It also brought up very unexpected emotions connected to realizing that my time is ticking and my time is coming up. So I did not get the visa. I have been in the US for 10 years. I have lived in 3 different states as of right now, and in California I have lived for 6 years. And I was really excited for the future, but unless something fundamentally changes, my future is about to be cut short on May 25th, 2025. I will have to be out of the country, or else I will be staying here illegally. And where will I go? I don't know. My country started a war with its own sister country. My country is sending people to the military left and right and having them not come back. My country is hunting people down for saying the smallest thing ever, for even acknowledging that war isn't great, or that this is a war in general, as opposed to a special operation. See, did it get to me just like saying this stuff on the internet? I don't understand. Like, if I say anything like this, if I put this up, and if there is any chance that I might need to go back, I actually might severely regret ever talking about this. Do I need to talk about this? I don't know, but I don't know how else to explain what situation I'm in. Fuck. Anyway, I said that I can't go back there. And anywhere else? Who wants someone from a country that is starting a war? Who cares what situation Russian people are in under a dictator who has been putting people into prison left and right? Can I go anywhere else? I have no idea. I thought I would be able to come here, and I thought that me and my parents working as hard as I can for at least for me to be here, not even for them, that doing so for the past 10 years would have been enough, but it doesn't matter. If you don't win the lottery of getting the work visa, if you are not within that 10% chance of you getting it, if you are 90% of people, you are not staying here. And my therapist said, well, but there's still a chance that you'll get it, right? Like, what could be the chances? And I'm like, well, actually, I don't know. Let's look this up, because maybe I am overreacting about this a little bit. So at that point in my mind, I was like, wait a second, like, I think the chances are like 50-50. So I don't think I should be, I think there's a way for me to stay regulated, because I think I am overreacting of how unlikely this actually is. But when I look it up, I find out that 1 in 10 people who apply for a work visa actually get it. So it is not a 50-50 chance. It is a 90% chance that I will not get it. And the level of distress that I experienced looking at those numbers was insurmountable, because I looked back on the past 10 years of me being here. I look at this and I'm like, so this is what it comes down to? My parents worked so hard for me to be here, for me to be able to be in this culture and meet the people who are here. And this is what it comes down to? A 90% chance that it will not work out? and I started crying so hard. That day, I already cried for 30 minutes in the shower. My poor roommate waiting outside, just needing to use the bathroom. But when I looked at those numbers, it was probably like the rock bottom of my suffering. I saw like all my hopes and dreams, all of the things that I was looking forward to, like the faces of all the people that I wanted to be around, who I still wanted to meet in the future. I saw the face of the person who I want to be with, who I was planning to move in with. It just all like flashed in front of my eyes, and I realized like I have been so delusional. I've been so delusional to think that it can all work out when there's a 90% chance that it will not. So and it hurt so badly.
Straight from all Christmas trees.
Yes. This is a very nasty way to keep someone waiting. This is a very nasty kind of uncertainty with such high stakes that I'm just trying to go day to day and like function and at least like try to get myself food. But it's so difficult like doing that. Like it's so difficult to dissociate myself. It's so difficult to want to take care of myself when this is happening. Something changed over this week that made me feel so weak, so powerless in doing even everyday things. But there was also something just like even ideologically that affected me. Oh god, I look so ugly when I cry. Anyway, I think maybe what I'm having trouble with is the feeling of unworthiness. When I realize that no matter how hard I work on myself, no matter how good of a person I try to be, this one government entity still deems me unworthy and has the power to rip away my personal life from me? How am I supposed to think that I am worthy of anything? How am I supposed to think that I can look forward to anything? How am I supposed to think that I deserve to be somewhere and that I will be welcome there? I did not plan to make this a crying video, as everybody who cries in videos says. But I mean, like, even now, like, I'm trying so hard to keep it together, but like, it's still very much not working. Yeah. You are lured in, you are told that this is a land of the free. You are told that this is the land of opportunity. You are told of the American dream and how if you just work hard enough. How have I been doing the last whatever amount of time? Honestly, in the beginning, I was really angry. I was very, very bitter. I was like, you know what? They rejected me. I don't need to prove anything to these people anymore. Clearly, after being here, after being raised here, after putting everything I can, after forming my entire identity to fit perfectly into this beautiful meritocracy that supposedly this is, I can't, you can't, it doesn't matter what you are. You can't change yourself to be what they want because evidently they don't want you. So I'm not going to keep changing myself and building myself into this perfect American person if they never let me be American? I know it's such a huge privilege, and I don't know why I ever thought I would be able to get there. I was like, I'm so done with this. Like, I can't even describe my level of disappointment, my level of disdain for how horribly mishandled everything is. I can't describe the level of disdain that I have for promising people, for talking about all of these opportunities that don't actually exist. They dangle this carrot in front of you so that you pay money to their institutions for their taxes, for their lives, for their yachts and trips to Hawaii, without ever getting anything in return. Like, actually, without being able to even stay here. Did you know that because of how long I've been here, I am considered a US resident, but for tax purposes? Even they acknowledge that I have been here long enough to have at least some kind of differentiation. Then I had the phase of, making myself as busy as I possibly can, looking into any backup options, anything like that, which, my only backup options right now are, one, somehow managing to get into graduate school, for which the chances are even less. And number two, some very, very generous person marrying me. And that's not something that I can ever expect anyone to do. That is a legal agreement that someone needs to, for some reason, want to go into with me, for what is kind of hoped by society to be the rest of your life. Those are the two only options right now. And both of them are not really options. So I'm trying to make myself busy. I'm trying to get the courage to even ask the professors I looked at about whether they're accepting students or not. And in the background, for a few weeks, a deep, deep sadness has been accumulating. At some point last week, I think I hit kind of the first breaking point where I realized that in my busyness, I started to lock myself in my room, not go outside, or not allow myself to enjoy anything, because that would just remind me about all the things I would lose. And moreover, that would remind me about how many people there are outside who don't have to worry about this stuff, who know that they will have a country to live in and to belong in. I started feeling a really, really deep sense of jealousy. I wouldn't even call it envy. I feel like envy is understating it. I think it's straight up jealousy and heartbreak. I did not want to go outside because that would just show me all the people going about their regular lives, having families, friends, communities, and feeling really left behind. Feeling like there's this enormous cloud that is weighing over me and a group of people, but not seeing them. That nobody in my area, nobody that I know, nobody that I see on a regular basis has to worry about. And I know that there are people out there somewhere who are struggling with similar things, but I don't see them. I hear about them, I see their stories on the internet, but weirdly enough, I somehow put myself into this bubble, into this pickling jar with very privileged people trying to fit in so badly. And just, finding that no, there's no way. And I mean, being actively priced out of here as well, while the people living even in the same building have their millionaire sons make some fake forms to put their mothers into affordable housing to just not have to deal with their mothers. And I realized that that's something that I imagined would hurt me later on. I realized that by hiding myself, by not letting myself experience any emotions when I go outside, the months would pass and I would never have gone anywhere anymore, and I would lose that opportunity potentially forever. And so, through some journaling and deliberation, I have decided that I will go outside. I will start making my way down the list of places and things and experiences that I want to have before it's too late. And I went to Barrio Logan. As of right now, I am so incredibly happy that such a place exists and that I got to go there and look at all of the amazing art. I started off kind of walking around and looking at all the art, trying to document as much of it as possible, because when I was researching it, I couldn't really find a central place where all of the art was documented. And since I'm leaving San Diego soon, I decided to document as much of it as I can, at least for myself, and maybe if it's out there, put it in a folder somewhere onto the internet that people can look at it. The experience also had an unexpected effect on me, which is that it felt so safe to be there. It felt so good to be around people who understand what the immigration system is like, who have struggled, frankly, far more than me. And somehow for me, that was like, I kind of related a bit more to, what people are going through around me, because when you are an immigrant from a country that you cannot come back to, where that would be a very bad idea, let's say, and where you might have family, but you don't feel entirely safe for them and you wouldn't feel entirely safe for yourself, it's a very different experience than just coming to the US from Europe and then being able to go back, or from being born in the US and being of a nationality that is not really targeted in any way, like nationality or race or anything like that, that is not targeted right in any way, but being born somewhere that gives you a pretty profound disadvantage in the country because of some kind of phobia, be it either straight up racism or the Red Scare or anything like that. Honestly, sometimes all combined, it puts you into a very different situation than a lot of the people in the US. And I don't know how to describe right now, but basically what happened is that I started feeling really safe there. I decided to sit down and just take in the atmosphere a little bit, not look at my phone, not look at anything through the camera, and just be there. And I actually started feeling feelings. So I looked around, I looked at the kids playing on the playground, I looked at people who brought a speaker there, and honestly, I don't know what they were doing there other than just sit there and bring music to the park. It was just two, big, strong, bearded, like macho men, and they were just sitting there with a speaker playing really wholesome and comforting music, and I felt like I could finally breathe out, and I realized that I did not want to leave. Like, I kind of in my mind already joked before that, if I had an extra year or something, then I can see myself moving here or something like that, even though, I haven't been in the neighborhood that many times. I just know of it, and I have seen the people who live there, and they're They're fucking great. But I was sitting there and I just did not want to leave. And that feeling only grew over time. I stood up and started walking in the direction, to leave. And I realized, like, I can't. I have to stay and just be here for a little bit more. I know that I have things pressing, that I have things that I planned to do tonight, but this might be the last time I will ever be able to come here. This might be the last time when I might be in San Diego, and it might be the last time that I might be here in the US. I realized that I feel so comfortable, so welcomed, even though I am far from the demographic who honestly maybe should be welcomed, or who the community does not owe anything to me. The space doesn't have to be welcoming towards me necessarily. It's meant to be welcoming towards the people who have been marginalized for a very long time and who are still getting marginalized. I know that this space is not for me, and yet it was such a big honor and such a huge comfort. It felt like an enormous, warm, welcoming hug to just be able to sit on that bench, to be able to be allowed in that space, to see it, to learn about the history, and to feel things, to be able to take in the music, to be able to take in the sunlight, to be able to take in the smells from the taco shop and the burger shop, and to be eating my little ice cream or whatever. It was such an honor, and I think after seeing the struggles that those people have gone through, after seeing so many things that honestly I really relate to as well, like not having a country to go back to, that not being an option, maybe having some family who are there but desperately honestly trying to find a way to get them out of there or to get them to a safer space, and yet really, really loving your country, really like aching for it, and the people back home going through their struggles who don't have the opportunity to get out. It made me really emotional. Like, it makes me really emotional now that there is someone out there who understands that. And it's so cool that there's a community out there that got to find each other, that made the commitment to community and to doing things together, and really preserving the families and being welcoming. And I sat there and I just really didn't want to leave. It felt like going to a friend's house and realizing that their family is actually really nice, and that and almost looking back at your family and kind of wishing that, having these weird thoughts of damn, I really wish these people would adopt me. I sat there and got feelings like that, and I realized that this is the San Diego that I've always wanted. This is what I've been looking for this whole time, and now accidentally, as one of the last steps before I leave, I get to see it in front of me. After 6 years of living in the most whitewashed, the most boring as hell, the most commercialized suburb here, thinking that there might not be any other option just from not being able to afford to move anywhere or to have a car or live anywhere. That's when I get to see that maybe this place that I've been looking for has existed this whole time. That's when I get to find out about this, when I'm about to leave. And it made me really happy, but it also broke my heart. When I came to San Diego, and when I came to the US in general, when I left my family at the age of 14 and finally got to California like I've always wanted to, I had this image in my head of it like Kiki's delivery service. That's how I would describe it. 14-year-old girl leaves to a new strange country and, tries to find whatever she's passionate for, has to find a job to sustain herself because, magic doesn't just take care of things. Maybe losing passion for something and then regaining it and really becoming a part of the community, becoming one tiny but useful thing to the community. That's what I thought it was gonna be like. That's what I've always wanted. And looking at the art, looking at the community, looking at the people, I just sat there and I'm like, I just wish that I could have a little more time to try to just find some way that I can help or participate in any way. Like, it doesn't need to be it doesn't need to be a thing that I need to get credit for. I just for me to be able to be somewhere, help people around, use any resource or privilege that is accidentally dropped on me to be able to do that. Milk every cow that was unfairly given to me to figure out how to redistribute things. Let's just say that. I realized that that's something that I actually would really love to do. And just seeing all the could have beens. And I cried my white women tears throughout the whole trolley ride. When I got off the trolley to get some groceries in, again, this boring ass suburb, I got out, stood on the stairs, cried. I went to get groceries, went back on the trolley, tried to not make eye contact with people and be and then again coming out of the trolley and carrying my groceries and just crying my ass out. And crying my heart out, crying my brain out. I don't know what the big philosophical thing that I wanted to say with this video, but I just wanted to describe what it feels like to have all the could have beens withering away. And there is some good news. In my rage and in my decision to not care about what the government thinks about me anymore, or at least in this kind of angsty version of it. Of course, I'm not gonna go do anything, commit crimes. God, no. I'm too much of a stickler for the rules. I'm too paranoid to have even what I have taken away from me right now. Of course, I'm not gonna do all of that. But in that state, and just still very understandably, I decided that, even though, before I might have not considered moving somewhere for 9 months, and I was really kind of breaking my heart over the possibility that if I don't get a visa, then I might not be able to move in with my partner, move to Texas, anything like that. But after I didn't get the visa, and I actually knew that, after I saw it in front of me, I was like, you know what? I don't care. I'm gonna move. I'm gonna be with the person that I want to be with, even if it's only for 9 months, even if I'm gonna have to leave after. I would rather try and take that chance than sit here for 9 months and cry about how I can't. So that's the good news. But it's still scary. It's scary seeing this version of California that I've always wanted, that makes me uncomfortable to a point where I lock myself in a room because I know that if I see it in front of me again, I will cry. I will want it so badly. I'll want to join or help or just be a little ant carrying a little thing to build this beautiful thing that people are building. Just be a part of something. Be a part of something that's beyond just individual survival. I hate this thing. I hate this idea of well, you know, you have all these problems, so this is why you should be taking care of yourself and you should be like only caring about yourself. I hate that. I don't want to just like, I don't want to only care about myself. And you know, I don't have children, I don't have like family that I live with right now that I can like super tangibly do anything for. So it really means a lot to me to be able to just like do something for people. Like it, you know, wanting to give something, like giving is a really rewarding thing. And for me, again, I don't care if I can't, like, I don't care that much if I don't have the same, like, privileges or whatever as people with a citizenship. I just hope that one way or another I would just be able to stay here and, like, participate and do something. Like, that's what, like, the US really empowered in me. It made me think, hey, maybe I could make myself worth something. If I do enough, if I help people, if I make sure that I work towards being a good person, and then just seeing that it just like doesn't matter, it like really sucks. So again, I don't know what to say. I don't know what's like the big lesson supposed to be out of this. I don't know, it's probably lame to just like have me cry here again and again, like on video about, oh, I didn't get this, I didn't get that. And again, I know that I'm not in the worst position ever. Like, I have my partner. Oh yeah, that's what I was talking about. That I know that there are good things coming. It's just like, I feel like to be able to enjoy the good things and be fully present there, you first have to process the stuff that sucks. You can't just have the good all the time. You have to, that has to be in contrast to something. That has to be in spite of something. That has to be in addition to something. It's never that simple. Just using toxic positivity of like, oh, like, don't even worry about this or don't even worry about that. I can't do that. Like, I'm sorry. I need to cry a little, I need to process everything to then be able to find some kind of good thing out of it. And before I move in with my partner, before I see things tangibly in front of me, you know, I get really scared. Of course, I get scared that what if 9 months is not enough for me to build a home, build a whole environment that like my partner would want to be around? What if it's not enough what if I still don't get to do things in those 9 months? That's what I get scared about. I feel like I failed. I feel like I have had 6 years to do this and I am just realizing that I could have been doing something this whole time. I feel like I failed. And you know, you might say, oh, you're young, you're this, you're that, but when you keep having like timelines to meet and you fail to meet them one after another and then you're just kicked out, I don't know what to say. Of course I feel like a failure. And I just hope that I stop failing someday. And can't wait.
In the year 1970, in the city of San Diego, under the Coronado Bridge, lied a little piece of land. A little piece of land of the Chicano community of Logan Heights wanted to make into a park. A park where all the chavalitos could play in, so they wouldn't have to play in the street and get run over by a car. A park where all the viejitos can come a la tarde and just sit down and watch the sun go down. A park where all the familias could come and just get together on a Sunday afternoon and celebrate the spirit of life itself. But the city of San Diego said, "Chale, we're going to make a highway patrol station here." So on April 22nd, 1970, La Raza of Logan Heights and other Chicano community of San Diego got together, and they organized and they walked on the land, and they took it over with their picks and their shovels, and they began to build their park. And today, 40 years later, that little piece of land under the Coronado Bridge in San Diego is known to people everywhere as Chicano Park. It began in 1970 under the Coronado Bridge in mi Barrio in San Diego, where the people began to fight for Chicano Park. For Chicano Park, under the bridge, under the bridge, under the bridge. We shall continue to live, my brother. We shall continue to fight, my friend, for Chicano Park under the bridge. For Chicano Park under the bridge. For Chicano Park under the bridge.